155. Right here, Khabib. Hold on. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Good job. $154 and a half.
Officially put in fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov tomorrow evening, and he
UFC 229, Khabib Nurmagomedov, he defends his lightweight championship against the former lightweight champ, the former double champ, Conor McGregor, making his return to the octagon. I want to get into a little bit of this. We have the best mixed martial arts insider out there, and that is Ariel Helwani from ESPN. Ariel, thanks for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So you were out there in Vegas last night. The kind of pre-fight festivity started with the open workouts. Some fans there finally getting their look at Conor McGregor in action, Khabib in action. Can you paint the scene a little bit of what it was like Wednesday night in Las Vegas for the open workouts?
Yeah, it's a bit of a calm before the storm type of feeling, in the sense that there were some fans. It was a pretty good amount, I'd say. I don't know, off the top of my head, around 200, 300. There was a big line. Obviously, Conor was last. Obviously, Conor was late. He was around 30 minutes late, but the fans were very excited to see him. You know, we haven't seen Conor in this kind of setting in 23 months as far as mixed martial arts is concerned. Of course, there was the Mayweather fight last year, but this is different. This feels like he's back home, and you get the sense that he's happy to be back. He seems to be in great spirits, big smile on his face. He had his son there with him. It was just really good. I think everyone's just really happy that the fight is here, that we're so close to the biggest fight maybe in UFC history. So it was a good scene. I think a little more hostile with the press conference, and a little more, tense, and the buzz will build even more.
You had both guys on your show this week. Can you kind of gauge those conversations, getting a chance to speak with them many times over their careers? Where do you think they stand going into this week from a mental standpoint?
I got the sense that both of them are very focused. I thought it was interesting that Khabib was saying that, this fight is personal for him, because, he's typically a stoic, sort of unflappable, very, calm, very focused fighter, and he admitted that it was personal. And you could tell when Conor talks about it, and the incident in Brooklyn a little bit, and talks about the fight, you could tell that this is personal for him as well. And I think what's interesting is that people thought maybe the Brooklyn thing was fabricated, and maybe they made it up, whatever the case may be, and it's really not. Like, you could tell there is a deep hatred there. Conor talking about how this is not going to end on October 6th, that come October 7th and 8th and 9th and November 1st, but this won't be over, and they'll always have to, be on the lookout for him. And that's stuff that you typically hear in the fight game. You hear, the feud will end on whatever date they fight. So, it just feels like this collision course that has been brewing for quite some time, and these moments are rare. And what's also interesting is that the feud is so intense and it's so personal that it feels like the belt is an afterthought.
We're talking to ESPN's Ariel Helwani. Now, you guys have some coverage going on today on ESPN2, starting at 6 o'clock for the press conference. Can you just kind of give us an idea of what kind of coverage you guys will have on the channel, and maybe going forward for the rest of the week for UFC 229?
Yeah, this is very exciting. Later today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2, we'll have live coverage of the press conference. We'll be talking about it before and after. Chael Sonnen and myself And we have a ton of coverage coming up on SportsCenter all week. We'll be doing a weigh-in show on Twitter, coverage on Saturdays, during the pay-per-view, after the pay-per-view, all kinds of stuff. So it's really cool to see, there was a time where ESPN wasn't really paying attention to the sport, and now to see how big it is. And for this one in particular, I think they're obviously very interested in the fight itself and Conor's return. So I'm very honored to be a part of it.
Now, you are right from your earlier comments. Like, the belt is a bit of an afterthought, but it is a reality. It is on the line for this fight. So, in regards to that, Tony Ferguson's also on this card. He was the interim champ. He's making his return right after surgery. Where does he fall in this equation? Is he going to have a shot at the title, either one of these guys? Who wins? Like, if Conor wins, is he just going to dictate where it goes and whomever he pleases to fight? And if Khabib wins, it's kind of been a cursed matchup. We've wanted it for so many times, and it always falls through. Where does he kind of fall into the mix should he beat Anthony Pettis Saturday night?
That's a fascinating question, because I think if Khabib wins, then you have a better chance of seeing Tony fight for the belt. I think if Conor wins, I don't know if you have a very good chance, because he wants those big fights. It's weird. It's like a contender fight. It's obviously the top guy in the division, but I don't even know what they're fighting for. And I think it makes things a little bit confusing. And especially if Pettis wins, then I think it muddies the waters even more. So I think it all depends on, I think we'll only really know what they're fighting for once the main event is over, if that makes sense. Because Khabib has this long history. I don't think Conor is all that interested in fighting him. If I were him, I wouldn't have fought on this card. They took his belt away. They took money away from him. I would have rather had my own spotlight and not play second fiddle. But, he chose to be here, and it's amazing that he's been able to be back so soon after that knee surgery. So good to have Tony back. I think he has earned the shot at the title, but I don't think it is definitive that he will get a title shot with a victory.
We're talking to Ariel Helwani from ESPN. You guys can catch him all week. ESPN's doing a lot of coverage for UFC 229, Conor versus Khabib. Ariel, if we could just jump ahead for a month, there's been a lot of drama surrounding the Madison Square Garden card and what was going to be the main event. So could you give us a little insight onto some of the things that were kicked around as the main event and how we ended up with the main event that we ended up with? Like, I know that Nate Diaz and Dustin Poirier seem to be kicking out a pretty cool idea of a new title that wasn't chosen. So can you give us an idea of some of the things that were maybe kicked around as possible main events and how we ended up where we are?
Well, there was a plan to have John Jones. There was a plan to have Alexander Dustin Romero. There was a plan to have Nate and Dustin in there for a second. As we speak right this moment, they haven't officially come out and said that that's the main event, and I think that is worth noting. So I think that the only way that they can really salvage this, because they don't have any title fights, is to put Nate and Dustin as the main event and to put that vacant title fight, because you're not disrespecting a champion. There is no champion. Put the vacant title in the co-main and just essentially cut your losses. This has not been handled well. This is Madison Square Garden. This is a venue that the last two UFC shows, the only two UFC shows that they've had there, they've had 6 title fights combined on those 2 shows, and now they can't, they can hardly get one. I'm maybe a little biased as someone who lives in New York and someone who adores MSG and the Knicks and all that stuff. The venue deserves something better than what they're delivering at the moment. So. I just don't see how you end the night with that fight. I think your best chance is to just put Diaz and Poirier at the end and give the fans what they want, because the fans have reacted very negatively to the idea of that being the main event.
Can you just clear up one thing with John Jones? Because I saw some things kicked around Twitter last night that he might have been in some kind of holdout for pay-per-view points, and that he was looking for a better deal. Like, where are we at with John Jones and that stuff?
No, he's fine. Yeah, that's the plan, December 29th. Any issue has been cleared up, I'm told.